How's it going, guys? Trader Neil here, back at you with another crypto video. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video, guys. Today I am actually going to be going over the whole Hyperliquid saga that happened on Wednesday. I know this video is coming in a little late, but I've been working on it for a bit and I wanted to get all the information together for you guys and kind of go over what happened with Hyperliquid, why the protocol is getting a lot of backlash, and how Binance played a hand in whatever has happened so far. But before I get started, guys, it would mean a lot if you guys like this video, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. Without your guys' support, I wouldn't be able to do any of these videos, and so it means a lot that you guys, keep watching, keep subscribing, and clock in every time I upload a freshie for you guys. It's funny because my most viewed video on the channel is a Hyperliquid tutorial of how to get started using the exchange. So if you guys are interested, you can definitely check this video out and see how to start using Hyperliquid. They actually had the biggest airdrop in history, guys, just last November, where really a ton of my friends got anywhere from 100K to millions in literally Hyperliquid tokens just by using the platform. And the possibility that they do another airdrop is high, guys. So definitely check this video out if you want to learn how to use the exchange. Okay, so let's get into the semantics of what happened with Hyperliquid and what drama has ensued over the last couple days. And so pretty much the idea with things, guys, is the very first step in what happened, we have to look at what happened on the day of Hyperliquid. So nothing was really going on Wednesday morning. Trading on Hyperliquid was going smooth like usual. And then what ended up happening was a trader on Hyperliquid went long on spot 6 million jelly and had at the same time a 6 million perp short on Jelly on Hyperliquid's platform. It looks something like this. In this picture, it's showed that it's 20x. Jelly was listed at 4x max leverage on Hyperliquid, but pretty much what was going on is this trader, he 6 million net perp shorted Jelly on Hyperliquid, and then as a result, he also bought 6 million of spot in Jelly, so he was net neutral. The problem whenever something like this happens is, if it's a big coin, for example, anything in the top 10 like Bitcoin, Sol, you name it, any of that would have been completely fine for a 6 million spot long with 6 million spot buyers and then a 6 million perp short. It wouldn't have even hardly affected price. But whenever it comes to a small market cap token, pretty much what happened was the Hyperliquid shorter, he had shorted the 6 million in Jelly, and then as a result, you can see here on deck screener the amount of buy pressure on spot that was going on this Jelly token afterwards. And so pretty much what happened was after 6 million net shorting Jelly, that same trader pumped the Jelly spot price 429% in 1 hour, guys. It's honestly pretty crazy. I'm using Mr. Gotham's thread here on Twitter, so give him a follow, guys, if you want to, as a little thank you for making this thread. But what ended up happening, guys, is he intentionally got liquidated. And so why is this bad for Hyperliquid? It's this part here. Because on any perp platform, guys, there is a backstop when a trader gets liquidated. And so a lot of times, a backstop on a centralized exchange with a lot of liquidity, like Bybit, Binance, those backstops end up taking on the short position. In this case, they would have took on the Jelly position. Hyperliquid's HLP, which is specifically this vault here, guys, the Hyperliquidity provider vault with currently 280 million in TVL, they took on the Jelly position. As you guys can see, they have a lot of positions going at one time, 171 positions on different coins. This is the Hyperliquid platform. They've got a lot going on at once. But they were the ones that had to take over the short position whenever that trader intentionally got liquidated, sorry. And when that happened, the price of Jelly, with it going up 429% in 1 hour, as you guys can see, if I can find it, the TVL of the Hyperliquid vault dropped hard. And so, as you guys can see, this Jelly position that Hyperliquid vault took on was over 400 million Jelly tokens. And because the trader intentionally got liquidated, they had to take on a negative 6 million short on Jelly. And they were bleeding hard on the account. As you guys can see, Hyperliquid's account vault went negative 7 million at one point. And so, looking at things now, it looks like a blip on this chart. So at first, before this all happened, Hyperliquid's vault over a 7-day period was in profits. On that day of this liquidation, for a time, Hyperliquid's vault was almost negative 12 million in the red. And then after doing what they did, they got in the green. But let me show you exactly what happened. And so it doesn't matter for the liquidated trader that he got liquidated on his position, because him buying the 6 million in Jelly had kept the price of Jelly skyrocketing. He was delta neutral. However, the problem here, guys, is if Jelly kept climbing more than that 429%, Hyperliquid's whole 230 million vault, that is this vault here, the Hyperliquidity provider vault, this would have been entirely liquidated if Jelly had gone up just a little bit more. Let me show you guys exactly what the Jelly chart looks like. So if you look on this Jelly chart, on the lower time frames, on the daily, I mean, yes, it looks like this thing got completely wrecked. However, if you look on it on the 15-minute, this is exactly what happened Wednesday morning. This is when the Hyperliquid whale took on that short position. Immediately when he got liquidated, this thing had pumped up that 429%. In this case, it was 532% in an hour, guys. And so, like I show in this tweet, if Jelly hit 1.5, Hyperliquid's whole vault would have been wiped. You guys can see this coin was getting pretty freaking close to these levels. It went from 0.009, let's just make it even 0.01, all the way to 0.06. It literally would have had to only go another 2x to be able to liquidate that HLP vault. And in the end, guys, if enough people were then spot buying Jelly, that could have gotten to that price. And so let's just think, how does Binance play a part in this, right? So let's just talk about how and what happens when a coin gets listed on an exchange like Binance. So a lot of times when you guys see a coin get listed on an exchange like Binance, you see the price skyrocket, at least temporarily. And so say, for example, this is all happening. The Hyperliquid guy got liquidated and Hyperliquid Vault had to take on this short. Now they're in net negative losses with that short. And if the price goes up, like I mentioned, guys, to 0.15, the vault would be liquidated. What could happen to make this chart continue pushing up? Well, one thing that could happen is a couple centralized exchanges like OKX here, like Binance, could list Jelly. And what would that, what would it entail? A lot of times whenever Binance, OKX, and all these platforms, these centralized platforms, want to list perps or just spot buying or spot pairs for these coins, it usually pumps price. And so the problem here, guys, and what a lot of people are saying is that Binance, OKX, they came together to potentially liquidate Hyperliquid by listing these on their platforms literally the morning this happened, because they wanted people to start buying up the price, buying up Jelly on their exchange, potentially pushing price to hopefully that 0.15 level to be able to liquidate Hyperliquid's whole vault, which essentially would make the platform go insolvent and get rid of Hyperliquid in its entirety. One other thing that I'm going to tell you guys about is another reason why I think Binance was involved in here. But before we keep going, guys, I would really appreciate it if you guys check out and hear me out on my sponsor that I partnered with, Breakout Prop Firm. So Breakout is a prop firm that has been around for years. Breakout has been a trusted prop firm for me personally over the last couple of years and for my students. And it's been honestly a godsend for a lot of my students, especially those that are trading with a little bit of their own capital. Because if you look at Breakout, guys, this is a prop firm where you can literally use the prop firm's funds to be able to trade with. And so how do you do that? Well, you choose an evaluation. You either have a one-step or a two-step evaluation here. And the idea here, guys, is by paying an evaluation fee of $55 up to $800, if you pass their evaluation, you can get funded in either one step or two steps for up to $100,000, guys. And so if you guys use my discount code here in the top right, you can get a discount on your evaluation fee here, which is pretty nice. And you can trade up to 5x to 4x leverage on any of these accounts. All you guys got to do, especially for the one-step evaluations, is you just got to hit the goal here, guys. So if you're trading the $100,000 account and you buy it, you just have to make at least $10,000 of gains to be able to pass your step one goal. And then boom, you are immediately trading with $100,000 of this platform's money. And then you can minimize losses that way. You can trade with this large amount of capital on this prop firm and then potentially make thousands of dollars by just doing that. And so I would really appreciate it if you guys check that Breakout. I've got the link in the description below. And again, use my discount code in the top right to be able to get a nice discount on your evaluation. All right, guys, back to the video. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to tell you guys about, and the reason why I think Binance was involved besides just listing these perps, is because Zach XBT, which is one of the investigators in crypto on Twitter, I'm sure you guys have heard of him, he actually said that under one of this guy's tweet about Jelly, he actually said that it'd be funny if the outcome happened because both Jelly manipulators were freshly funded via Binance and Arbitrum, and these are the wallets of them. So he's pretty much saying, guys, that the wallets that were manipulating the price of Jelly by going delta long and short were funded via Binance. So that is super interesting to me. After this all happened, once Hyperliquid caught wind of what was going on, once they took that position on the HLP vault, they actually had their validator set convene together and they voted to delist Jelly perps. And so it is honestly pretty insane, guys. And so what happened was they delisted Jelly perps, and as a result here, this negative P&L ended up just poofing from thin air. And so they forced delisted Jelly entirely, guys. If you look at this picture here, you guys can see that Hyperliquid's Volt had their backstop liquidation go on, and they settled for Jelly to be closed that big short at a price of 0.0095. And as you guys can see, once Jelly perps was pushing the way it had been, 0.0095, guys, let me show you exactly where that is on this chart. That comes in all the way down here. Do you guys see how that is a potential problem on here? The price of Jelly has not even come close to 0.0095 on this chart. Jelly was trading over here at 2.3 at the time of this. So for Hyperliquid to pull their trump card and to be able to pretty much show that they can close a position at almost any price arbitrarily that they want to, is pretty insane. I mean, even now, guys, this price is 34% lower than current price. And so for them to put the settlement price and to actually close this positive is pretty insane. And so what I'm thinking here is pretty similar to what Gotham was saying. The trade exposed a lot of things going on with decentralized per protocols. No real size limits. So I think a lot of times a big thing with Hyperliquid is it's important that, going forward, if they are going to have any liquid shitcoins like Jelly on their exchange, they put size limits on, the amount that a trader can long or short. If this happens again, at least if they have less liquid coins on their platform, there can't be such a huge pump in price. If, for example, this happened in a trader, like I mentioned at the beginning of my video, if a trader went net long and short on Bitcoin, it wouldn't affect price. It wouldn't push price 400% in an hour, guys. But something like Jelly, that is why this happened, because it's so illiquid. And so in the end, I agree with what Gotham's saying here. The trader's genius was targeting the exact weaknesses that was going on with this token. It was a small cap, automated liquidation, forced position inheritance, no circuit breakers. They found every crack in the system. And then so in the end, guys, yes, Hyperliquid's vault here. Looking at this HLP vault, it is positive over the last 7 days. If you look at it, it's all-time P&L. Yes, we had that blip on Wednesday, but overall, yes, it is positive. But at what cost? If Hyperliquid, in the end, can essentially take the price of a token and put it at this level, 34% lower than it actually is, just for their own benefit, it does worry me about what goes on and going forward on this platform, because hopefully they don't do something similar and learn from their mistakes. In the end, I do think in a bull market, Hyperliquid does well. But if stuff like this continues to happen, I do think it'll reduce their confidence in the platform, users' confidence, that is. And Binance, they went ahead and they let's say they showed the holes, they showed the issues with the platform by poking holes in it. And so I think the important thing is here, I think Hyperliquid can learn from these mistakes, guys. And I do think as a user on this platform, I still really love the protocol. I still really love trading on Hyperliquid, and I love their ingenuity, and I love the team behind it. And it doesn't negate the fact that they gave users such a fantastic airdrop, and they're trying to do well, trying to do right by users. In the end, of course, I do think that backstop was put in place. And they did what they did with the validators. They voted on it. I personally think that even though maybe it wasn't the best business decision, I think maybe they should have took like an $11 million loss. I know it's a lot, but at the same time, at least it would have been an honest way of showing like, hey, we're not going to change what price we can say a token is at just for our benefit, that sort of thing. And so I think over time, if this doesn't happen again, if they make decisions in the future and make protocol decisions that prevents this from happening, that things will be fine. But I do think there's a long road ahead. Looking at the Hyperliquid chart here, guys, what I will say is, as you guys can see, whenever this happened, it brought down Hyperliquid's price by 27% in literally a day. And overall, guys, I am bullish on Hyperliquid. I still think this chart looks quite good, above $12. But what I will say here is, really, until Hyperliquid gets back above 19 bucks, it can play out the bottom side of the zone. I do think that as long as there isn't any more hiccups with this platform, we can see Hyperliquid do well over, the next couple years. But does that mean that it can't go lower in the short term? No. I think that it could go lower, fill out this zone, especially if BTC pulls back. And if you get a nice bounce in a market structure shift, that's exactly what you would like to see over time. And I will be personally looking to buy more Hyperliquid and to, let's say, rebuy what I've sold already on this pump once we get single digit Hyperliquid. And I think that should be welcomed. This chart has held up relatively well compared to a lot of newer altcoins out there in the space, guys. I mean, what altcoins can you think of that were around during the December period that literally haven't gone down 90+%, especially AI tokens? So looking at something like Hyperliquid, if it comes down to these levels, you got demand. And I think that you can see a nice accumulation period form here. Last thing, guys, since we talked about Binance, I think we should look at BNB as well. And so looking at something like BNB, I will say this chart is looking way better than a lot of coins in this space, especially the major coins. So BNB here is holding daily trend. What I will say though is until BNB gets back above this value area high, I actually think this would be a very interesting level to see BNB reject from. BNB hasn't hit the 646 level per se just yet, but in the end, if it continues to make lower highs, especially a failure to get back above this daily level here at 668, this would be a zone where I would be for sure interested in a BNB short. And so a spike up into this level, into this area, would be a place where I would want to see some rejection on BNB, and it is where I'd be looking for a potential short between here at this daily, all the way up to even maybe like 695. Is this a place where I'd be looking to buy spot BNB for any of my spot traders out there? No, it would not. You don't want to be looking to buy spot towards the top side of a range like this, guys, especially the top side of a macro value area high like this. This is exactly where you want to be selling bags. If I was holding BNB that I bought from 514, this is where I'd be looking to take profits. All right, guys. So that kind of like wraps up the whole Hyperliquid saga that I have to say. Overall, do I think that Hyperliquid as a whole has a lot of work to do? I personally think so, but at the same time, I like the platform, like I said, and I do think they are relatively new in the space, guys. They've only been around since November. So being able to find out these problems early and be able to live another day and make better decisions and prevent these from happening again is what's important in my opinion. But all right, guys, that's what's going on with the Hyperliquid saga. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys stay till the end, I would love for you to put in the comment section below Hyperliquid. All right, guys, thanks for staying. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys for another video very soon. Peace.